Hello and welcome back to another edition of SCA 101. This one is going to cover events. I mentioned briefly events and I didn't touch very much on that, so we're going to do this one more extensively. So when you go there and you find your thing and you say, hey, there's a blah blah that's coming up in a couple weeks, I have an event. I don't know what that is, but I'm excited about it. So there's three main categories of events. We're going to go from smallest to largest in scale here. The smalls is what we refer to as day events, which is just for the afternoon. It might be morning and the afternoon. Sometimes they run from 10 to 4, or there's an evening dinner. Regardless, a day event means that there is typically no camping. It's just for an evening. These are fantastic to go out and meet the people in your area. They're usually smaller baronial groups, so within about 100 people or so, very low key and just good old fashioned camaraderie. Those are the ones where you really get to have conversations with the people, talk and do all of the fun stuff person to person. And a lot of bigger events, there's so much going on, you don't really get that one on one. So small events are great because typically they'll be at either a church or a community center, a YMCA, something like that. There'll be something down the street, like a store, in case you get hungry. You can just go pick up, some KFC or just something quick, something in and out of like Safeway Deli. So smaller events are great to get your toes wet and to kind of see how things work. If you don't have garb, typically that's okay. A lot of people wear garb to them, but it's not necessarily a hard requirement. We do appreciate anyone who does and can bring something garb-like. This is another great opportunity to meet people who might have loaner garb for you for the bigger the camping events. Going up in scale from those, the small scale day events is going to be a weekend type event. Too Hot is a baronial event that we do. It is the anniversary basically of our barony. It's our birthday weekend, and we have a typically some people will get there Thursday, but it's usually just a Friday, Saturday, and then tear down all of the stuff on Sunday and head home. Those are fantastic because there's usually a little bit of fighting. You'll have about 10 to 15 people, depending. Sometimes at these small events you'll have 25, 30 fighters. Sometimes you'll have just maybe two guys in armor. So they're smaller in scale. There's typically less melees if there are melees. There's usually more one-on-one fights. There's one or two AMS competitions going on. So the weekend events are really laid back, very casual. One of the great things about Too Hot is probably one of my favorite events is those are a little bit of the best of both worlds. You get a little bit of like the day event, like I said. You get one-on-one interaction with people who might be busy at the bigger events. You get to hang out with people that you might not have ever met before because, there's only 30, 40, 50 people at this event. You're going to be talking with people you wouldn't have normally been talking with. They're in a different SCA circle. And that's fantastic because the more people you meet, the more you learn, and the more amazing connections you make. I can't begin to express. Everyone here has an amazing story or an amazing thing that they do in the SCA that you might not have even heard about that you can now incorporate into it. So the smaller events are fantastic in that you get more of a close connection with it. Additionally, if you're looking to volunteer and to throw in and start helping, they are a lot easier to do that and to make a large impact in setting up a whole bunch of stuff means a whole lot at Too Hot, whereas at Australia, people might not notice. You might have done 10 hours of tent setup, but everyone on that line did 10 hours of tent setup. So it allows you to help and feel like you make a bigger impact. So it allows more interaction because you can make a bigger impact as one person as opposed to at Australia, a team is more cohesive. You need a team with something that big. Australia is the largest West Coast event. We'll get to that actually right now. So then from there, from the smaller weekend events, you have what we refer to as wars. So a war is a large event. It's typically a week long. They'll have the site open either on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. For Australia War, that is, like I said, the biggest on the West Coast, they will open site for pre-reg, which is pre-registration. If you order your ticket online early, you get to go out there a day early. So on Tuesday, you get to go out. It's open to the general population Wednesday at noon, almost always. So from Wednesday until Sunday, and I believe they also have in there a Sunday night survivor party. So you can actually stay through until Monday morning. Typically, not every war will have a survivor party, but at least up until Sunday morning or Sunday evening, uh, all the way through the weekend. So the wars are a lot bigger. They are strenuous. After being out in the sun and the elements and fighting and dancing and all of it, for 6 days, you definitely feel like you have been to a war. Not necessarily a military war, that is completely different. I'm not saying anything about the military veterans. I respect what they do. This much different. We do it to ourselves. We go out there to have a lot of fun, and you do. You just come out real sunburned. Typically bring lots of sunscreen, and very exhausted. Lots of tents to set up, lots of things to do, lots of games to play. Like I've said before, it's the most fun you can have. And the main thing is to figure out what kind of event you're going to and packing accordingly. Like I said, with those small day events, all you need is, if you have one outfit of garb, you are good to go. That is all you need, really, for a day event. For the weekend events, you're going to need, obviously, a tent, some bedding, more things. I will probably make a video on the things you will need for an event shortly after this one, hopefully. But then from a weekend event to a week event is a huge difference, and most people don't really seem to understand the difference of packing for 2 days versus packing for 5 or 6. If you do hiking, that is a good, helpful bonus. But a lot of hiking people, they pack very minimalist because, you're going to be out there, you're going to be packing your own things in, packing your own things out. You want your backpack to cover it. There are tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of things that you will slowly start adding to your SCA kit to start making your setup more swanky and more tricked out and more epic. The trick is to start with the basics and then to just evolve from there. Look at what other people have done, look at what you want to do, problems that you might have in your particular kingdom. We here in Aidenveld suffer from different things than kingdoms in the east or in the south, for example. There are a lot more stories I've heard about bug problems from states, for instance, Louisiana. They're going to have, obviously, a much different approach to how to deal with bugs. Here in Arizona, we have ants. Don't put yourself on an ant pile. Make sure there's no wasps in your area. Very low scale. Them, much different. So it's important to discuss with people who play in your area things that you're going to need beyond the bare bone basics. The things that are obvious. Water, food, things like that. So the important thing is to, when going to an event, figure out how long the event is, how long you're going to be going, because just because it opens on Wednesday doesn't mean you're going to be able to go Wednesday. A lot of people have work or kids, school, whatever. Find out when you're going to be going out, when you're going to be able to make it, and then from there figuring out some of the things you're going to want to try when you go out there. Typically, you can go onto social media and there'll be some kind of, on Facebook typically, some kind of event schedule for the event. So on Saturday and Friday, they'll be fighting. On Friday night, there might be a drum competition or a bardic competition or something like that. So doing a little bit of research before the event helps you a whole lot to figure out when you get there what's going to be going on and what you're going to want to be doing. So, and once again, all that information for all of the events you're going to be able to find SCA.org. That is, once again, the #1 stop for any information you're looking for. So there you have it. You have your day events, nice, easy, low scale. You have your weekend events, which, once again, a little best of both worlds. You got low scale kind of energy from day events, but you have the camping and the event stuff going on from the larger events. Then with the large events, the wars, there are a lot more options, a lot more versatility, a bunch of things going on. Classes, they're usually teaching some kind of classes in terms of learning how to make X, Y, or Z, make your own armor, make your own jewelry, anything like that. Learn how to play period drum patterns. So finding classes that you want to be a part of, all of that at the larger events. So it's important to get a little bit of everything. Check out everything, from the small scale baronial things up to the kingdom level events. You can get something out of each one, but it's important to know what you're going into to make sure that you're prepared for it. Just like the Boy Scouts, you got to make sure that you're prepared for what you're going to be doing. There will be resources for you on site, but it's best not to go in there blind. So this is the end of the event section of SCA 101. Hopefully you understand a little bit more about the differences of events. If you have any questions, you can always ask somebody, on the event page, hey, when does the site open? When are we allowed out there? If I help volunteer setup, am I allowed to go out there early and help out? All the things like that, once again, at your fingertips. All you gotta do is reach out. So this is Warwick Mock Mahone with another edition of SCA 101. I hope you learned something. Good night.